some families, entrepreneurship is their core value. And
Right.
so they'll utilize this to play in that sandbox.
Yes.
While others, education, it might be healthcare for another family.
Of course.
So this is the magic.
Yes.
Is you're just planting a seed and just letting it germinate. And we don't even know what that seed, what it's going to grow into.
And that's the wonder. This is wonder. This is a place to, my father was so clear. Wonder. Isn't it wonderful? Wonder. Yes. Let me just touch for a moment so we sort of have a comprehensive conversation of all the different elements. There are a number of people in our field, Michael, who come from the technical, as you were saying, side, who have taken this idea and turned it into what I call a venture capital fund idea. Now, you were just talking about entrepreneurs. I think this is fine. It just isn't what my father had in mind.
Right.
It's perfectly fine. And it has appeal. And I can certainly understand the utility in a family making a long multi-generation journey of developing a fund for the venturing ideas of family members. I think that's a very worthy idea. It's not, in my opinion, a family bank. So I'm not putting my family like that. No, I'm not meaning it that way. I just think it isn't in the spirit of what he had in mind. I think both are useful, is really what I'm saying. What I'm also saying is, though, I strongly urge, let me put it that way, a family to begin with the family bank from the spiritual component of growing the spirit of that family. Then, if there is an investment question, add it. Why? Because every family is composed of artists as well as scientists. The problem that I have for a family that begins with the venture capital fund is it doesn't give the artists any chance to grow and glow. It isn't inclusive.
And a world of all science would be boring.
In fact, I think it's inhumane in the high sense of the humanities, the nature of the human journey. So I want to be very clear to our audience. I am not in any way suggesting a venture capital fund isn't useful. What I'm trying to do is to bring my father's remarkable gift into the world of saying, grow the spiritual capital of your family through a common enterprise of grants and loans that enable things. I think that is a discrimination that is a difference.
Agreed. So inside of there are a couple things that I think are worth talking about inside of there, like, adopt the Rothschild model. What does that mean? What does that mean to you?
Well, old Meyer Amschel Rothschild in the middle of the 18th century in a ghetto in Frankfurt was lucky enough with his wife to have 9 children. And most of them lived, which is even more amazing. Among them, 5 men and 4 women. I think that's right. There may have been more women, but I think that's right. He was a banker, very capable banker, who helped the local aristocrats when war came, protect their jewels and things, or lend them money to have soldiers. He was a very, very astute banker. And he was so astute that during his lifetime, his sons didn't have to live in the ghetto. They were honored to go, they could live where they wanted. So he thought, I have financial capital that I'm earning as a banker. I want to intermediate into the world. That's how bankers make money, right? But he was much smarter than that. He said, no, what I have is human capital in abundance. 9 children, 5 men. And he said, what we need is intellectual capital. I can educate my sons and my daughters, but no, we need to understand the world. We're going to be bigger than Frankfurt and bigger than the ghetto. That's an enormous aspiration, isn't it? So what did he do? He sent 4 of the sons, one to London, one to Paris, one to Naples, and one to Austria. He stayed in Frankfurt with the oldest son. And he said, each of you is to set up a bank. I will lend you the capital. By the way, you have to pay interest, just less than a stranger would pay. It's got to pay interest. But he said, that's not important to me. What is important to me is that every week you send me a letter and you let me know what's going on in your financial center, your politics, your social, your economic. I want to know. And I, in turn, will circulate that. He created the first knowledge-based bank, national bank. It could say international bank. Is it good to be a Rothschild? Yeah, huh? Still today, it's good to be a Rothschild. But what else did he do? He not only encouraged them to be a social system, growing social capital inside the family, but they were highly philanthropic from the beginning. Now, that is in part because if you are a practicing Jew, there's a covenant with God. If you remember the rainbow after Noah. So that's a beautiful idea from Judaism. You have to be philanthropic. Otherwise, God might send another flood. You have a responsibility. So the Rothschilds not only are known for being very good bankers today, they still have their 2 pieces left of those 5, but they're also involved in all kinds of wonderful causes and institutions that are hundreds of years old. So what was he doing? He was employing his human capital to create intellectual capital, to create social capital with spiritual capital, with the money, essentially the grease to enable those to grow. And that's why it's not bad to be a Rothschild.
He invested, it's very much like your father, their time, their talent, his treasure, and he made, he did it as loans, because so there was a sense of responsibility to what you were doing, and there was, right. But very, very similar thought process.
Yes. And I would say a little more economic than my father's, but so what?
Right.
We're capitalists. I am in favor of capitalism. But I think you're absolutely right, Michael. This was in the old man's consciousness.
Yeah.
And I think his wife's as well, why we know less from what she was offering.